Hey guys, what's up? Scott here, back once more with another video. Alright, today I'm continuing my series of Captain America's journey across the MCU with the movies he was heavily featured in a main role. So last time I reviewed Captain America the First Avenger, which really set up his origin well back in the 40s. At the end, he's brought into the modern day. That was really well done. Setting him up perfectly for the modern day story and the Avengers. So today I'm going to be reviewing Avengers 1, or just called the Avengers. So this movie was the test. Was the payoff going to work of bringing all these characters that they had established in solo movies previously? This was the true test of was it going to pay off, and boy did it. I love this movie. So a couple things. So nothing like this had really been done before in superhero movie or movie history. Like, we had team up movies before, like X-Men with Hugh Jackman and all them, Halle Berry, Fantastic Four with Jessica Alba, Chris Evans. But those movies were like one shots. Like, there wasn't really any build up to them. They just like, hey, here's the team up movie. And the MCU did that with Guardians of the Galaxy, but so those movies still worked. But this was like the build-up. You had all these solo movies and this building this universe, introducing these characters, to this big crossover movie. So this is the first time in movie history you'd had the build-up to a big team-up movie like this. And it worked because this is one thing like I love about the MCU and Kevin Feige is he doesn't try to go too big too quick. Like the first Avengers movie, you had your six heroes, your one villain, Loki, and his army. And so, that was perfect for this part of the story, your big first crossover. You don't want to go like later as we get to Endgame and they add more and more characters. But this was like, okay, this is our testing ground for how, this kind of small scale, still big, but smaller scale crossover movie. So they did a great job of building up their main heroes, Iron Man, Thor, Captain America, and their movies. Hulk had a movie, but it wasn't Mark Ruffalo. And then Hulk had never had a movie after that one, The Incredible Hulk. So I really consider Hulk more of a supporting hero in the MCU. Now he definitely has a big role, but he's not. I don't even consider him like a main frontline hero. But Iron Man, Thor, Captain America definitely were your leads. So you had Hulk in there, and they introduced Black Widow was introduced in Iron Man 2. Hawkeye cameoed in the first Thor movie. So all these Avengers had at least appeared once by the time we got to this big team-up movie. So they did a great job of planting the seeds for these characters. Same with your villain, Loki. Loki was really planted the seeds for in the first Thor movie. And then he's carried over to the Avengers as the main villain. But in order for Loki to work, and he did, Loki worked as great as a villain for this movie, but they needed to give him that something that would make him a big enough threat to make the whole team take the whole team to defeat him. And they did with the Chitauri army, because if it had just been Loki by himself, then it wouldn't have worked, because as we saw in the first Thor could have just beaten him on his own, especially all six of them teaming up could have easily defeated Loki on their own. So they needed to give Loki that one thing to make him a big enough threat to take the whole team to stop him with just Chitauri army, and that worked. This movie did a great job of balancing all these characters. You had your six main Avengers, your villain Loki and his army, and then you had your supporting characters with S.H.I.E.L.D. like Maria Hill, Nick Fury, Agent Coulson. They all were pretty big supporting characters in this movie. So this movie did a great job of balancing all that. So so this movie was big enough on its own for what they had just developed to this point, and they did it. The payoff was great. So with this movie being so successful, as we get all the way to Endgame, even much larger in scale of characters and stakes, that success just carried over. Marvel just did a great job of, especially for a live action universe, balancing everything. So the final Battle of New York, in my opinion, the Battle of New York is still in the top 3 best final battles of the MCU, because it took each of the 6 Avengers, Iron Man, Thor, Captain America, Hawkeye, Hulk, Black Widow. Each of those 6 characters, those 6 heroes, they all got their moment to shine in the final battle, and they each played a key role in defeating Loki and the Chitauri. And so you felt like each member of that team contributed, which I don't think. Now, don't get me wrong. As we get into the the bigger stakes battles later, especially in game, don't get me. Marvel overall still did a great job of making sure each hero got their moment to shine. But in this movie, in this battle, you really felt like each hero contributed a big part to the defeat of Loki. So they made each hero feel super important to the story. So, and I don't think you really got that with the later battles with every hero. Now, some heroes obviously were very important to defeating Ultron and Thanos later, but this movie you really felt like everyone contributed to the defeat of Loki. That made it much more satisfying. So I've heard it said that if the MCU never made another movie after this one, this movie, and I kind of agree, that Iron Man 2, the first Avengers movie, would be a great 6-episode story arc. You had your build-up with your heroes with Iron Man, introduce Thor, introduce Cap, Hawkeye, Hulk, Black Widow, introduce them in these solo movies, introduce Loki, and who's going to be your big villain for the crossover. And then, they have the battle, Loki's defeated, Earth is saved. That's it, So if this would be a great, like Star Wars, not counting episodes 7 through 9, but George Lucas's Skywalker saga, episodes 1 through 6. You had the rise, fall, and redemption of Anakin Skywalker. This could have been kind of been the same thing. You have, the origin of Iron Man, Thor, Captain America, and then the introduction of the supporting heroes, Hawkeye, Hulk, Black Widow, and they all meet each other. The build up to them meeting, and then the build up of the villain Loki. The final battle, Earth is saved. Story wrap up story. It's done. So this movie this phase 1 on its own could have been just a great standalone 6 movie episode arc. But now obviously I'm glad they made more, and we're still getting more today. But because it was so successful. But obviously at the end, they introduce Thanos in the credit scene. Now Thanos is never named at all in this movie, because I remember his name is never once mentioned in this movie, but he's referenced as he. He's just referenced as he throughout the movie, because you see these flashbacks of Loki talking with Thanos' henchman called the Other. And the Other says something like, he will make you beg for something, or long for something sweet as pain. So like you realize as the audience, like, oh no, there's this other guy out there that's Loki's scared of. And then in the credit scene, we actually see him rise from his throne, look at the camera and smirk like, oh man, okay, this guy's out there. And then, anyone that's even remotely a Marvel Comics fan knew that was Thanos. But it came out not too long after the movie that, okay, that was Thanos. But, they planted the seed for this guy that's out there, and then he's finally name-dropped in Guardians of the Galaxy in the universe. But, they did a great job of doing a self-contained team-up story while also setting up more to come. So this movie, my opinion, this movie gets a 10 out of 10. Being a good self-contained story, but also setting up more to come in phases 2 and 3. So anyway, guys, thank you. I love this movie. Did a great job of being the origin story for the Avengers, the team, and setting them up for their future too. So anyway, guys, next movie I will be reviewing is Captain America: The Winter Soldier, and which continues Captain America's story in the modern day post Avengers. So stay tuned for that. Thank you so much for watching, and peace out.